It's ESP.
Most powerful practitioner of psychokinesis and telepathy in the world.
The Eryn Spencer Podcast, your home base away from mother base for the outdated references, political humdrum, social commentary, vintage and not so vintage nostalgia that you crave.
Would you rather have a lifetime of regret or an afternoon of mild disappointment?
And of course, that weed-ish. So without further ado,
Just do it!
let's get this shoe puff luncheon. 3, 2, 1, and now we're officially live. So quick mic check. So speak into your mic.
Speak into your mic. Perfect.
So, this is exciting. This is our 5th official podcast / #nerdcast. And we are here with a guest that I'm really excited about, Samantha McMahon.
That's me.
That's you awkward potato.
That's me.
Samantha McMahon is a local actress, and we're going to talk a lot about acting today. We're going to talk about getting your acting card for both theater and for film and television. We're going to talk about local theater because for a queer podcast, we have not had a theater guest, and that's outrageous.
Oh my god.
That's outrageous. But we have covered roller derby, we've covered pansexuality, we've covered non-binary, and our first guest was another trans woman. So we've covered a little bit of everything. Now it's time for the long overdue aspect of theater to rear its fabulous head on the ESP show. So Samantha, tell us, do you prefer Samantha or Sam?
I'm Samantha or Sammy. I try not to do Sam, but people kind of call me whatever they want.
Sammy's so cute.
Sammy. We'll do Sammy.
Sammy. So I have some background for you, but why don't you just take it away? Because I know if there's one thing that theater people are good at, myself included, guilty, it's talking a little bit about ourselves.
What?
I'm
No
so
way.
good. What? Who would have thought? Oh my goodness. Who would have thought? So I'm going to give you the opportunity to practice that 2 to 5 minute bio that everyone in acting and theater has. Shameless.
Oh.
Tell us all about yourself, your fabulous self over there.
I will.
Give
okay.
us a little rundown of Sammy.
I probably should have just brought my bio from the last show that I was in. No, I am a theater education and secondary education major with a minor in special education at Bridgewater State University. I have been doing theater since I was 15. I'm 27 now. And I started doing theater at Bourne
That's a
High
long
School.
time, girl.
I know. I took a couple years off when I was in the military.
You're a seasoned veteran.
Fun fact. We will get around back to that, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
So the first show that I ever did was a little unnamed show called Mother Hicks. We did that as a part of the Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild Festival, which was a really cool competition that is statewide. And I recently brought my kids at Upper Cape to it with the help of my friend Bobby. And I have been in probably 30 shows since. Eryn and I actually met doing a show at the now unfortunately defunct Buzzards Play production. It was Rocky Horror, right?
R.I.P.
Rocky Horror
It
Picture
was-
Show.
it was
Or,
Rocky
not
Horror.
Picture, Rocky Horror Show. Fabulous. I would do that show again if I could.
It's a lot of fun.
Most recently, I played Ariel in The Tempest by William Shakespeare at the Massachusetts Music and Art Society in Mansfield. So, yeah.
I'm a terrible host because I did not see it. So I really wanted to.
But she plugged it, so
I did.
Yeah.
It's on the website.
yeah.
This is the problem with startups, is that if I was doing this if I was getting paid for this, which eventually, hopefully
will.
someday I will.
Yes.
That's the goal. I would be able to just take time off and go see these wonderful things that our guests are associated with 100% of the time. Because I can't always do it because I work my regular 24-hour shift on the ambulance on Saturday and also Wednesday.
Right.
So I work my 2 24s, and also part of it's also my fault too because I met a new guy and we've been dating. And
that's
Sunday is
so
one of the only days that
exciting.
we can actually hang out.
So it's hard
sorry.
to devote time to theater. I mean, honestly,
It
I
was
feel
bad
like,
timing because we just started dating.
no, that's never bad timing. That's awesome timing for you.
Well, for the purposes of the show, it was
the
bad
purposes of
timing.
my
It's good
show.
it's great timing for me.
I'll be in more shows. You can come see those.
I absolutely am going
I
to go see
hope
the
so.
next one.
Knock on wood, somebody for me. I don't think there's any wood in here.
Yeah, this is a fiberglass table, fake fiberglass.
But I lost my train of thought. We'll keep going.
That's okay.
Oh,
so
no, I got it. don't feel bad
Good
because I
recovery.
am also a terrible theater friend. I think the last show that I saw that a friend was in was Gypsy at Bridgewater State in October. It's very hard to find time to go and do these things, even as a theater lover and avid participant in theater. We want to support our friends so badly, but like you said, it's not our
Busy
job.
bees.
Yeah, it's really hard to take time
Buzz.
off of school and work to go see these things, no matter how much we want to support our friends. So, I understand. I'm guilty of it too.
So how was your experience with The Tempest?
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with The Tempest. Okay, let's take it back to October 2016
Taking it back.
to my Shakespeare class with Professor Brian Keeney. Shout out at
Starting at the
Bridgewater State
beginning.
University. Oh no, I've loved
You
Shakespeare
can-
for a very long time.
You can plug anyone that you want on the show, by the way.
Oh, I'm going to get there. Don't worry.
Shameless. Hashtag
I am
shameless. We
going to
already
do
mentioned that.
Shameless plugs. So he had us, for one of the first plays we had to analyze, look at The Tempest. And I had never given it a real in-depth analysis before. So this caused me to really take a look at the relationships between the characters and the themes of the show. And The Tempest is one of these conflict plays or problem plays because it's not really a comedy and it's not really a tragedy. It's a little bit of both. And it's
So high
complicated.
drama.
So yeah, there's like love and hate and betrayal and magic. I got to be magic. So I love it, fell in love with it, became obsessed with it. I proposed to direct it at Midsummer
Ooh.
Shakespeare in Onset last summer. So I did. And then I went to London in August 2017.
We're
and
going to
I
get to that.
saw
We have
it.
a whole segment
Oh.
about your travels
Oh, I
that we're going to
saw
get to.
it there, though, by the Royal Shakespeare Company. And then
Did you
I was,
really?
yeah, it was phenomenal. And then I was just in a
Jealous.
production of it in this past March. So,
And you saw it with the Royal Shakespeare
oh my
Company
God,
too?
yeah. So it's safe
Double
to say
jealous.
that I'm kind of obsessed with that show.
Just a little bit. That's okay.
But it's not even my favorite. My favorite is Twelfth Night, and we can get there later if we have time. So,
I've only seen, I saw the film version, most of the film version of Twelfth Night once.
which one? Wait, the one with Helena Bonham Carter and Ben Kingsley? Because that is the one to watch.
I believe that's the one because I didn't see the whole thing.
Oh, no.
I'm a
it's
terrible
so good.
Theater nerd.
It's okay. I
My
forgive you.
my theater experience is actually limited.
Yeah.
As far as the theater shows that I've seen. So I need to make a quick
when
suggestion.
you do shows, you're awesome. So
Oh, thank you. Well, I haven't done a show as the new me yet.
yeah,
so
I didn't think so.
I have so theater is kind of strange because theater, we talked about this, I believe it was on 001 with Jordan Evans, how theater is really a great medium for a lot of people who are questioning to find their true selves.
Right.
Whether you come out as gay, whether you come out as, and by the way, sidebar, gay includes lesbian, okay? Because we had that conversation before on this show. Somebody was offended that we said gay and not lesbian, but lesbian I feel like is kind of a harsh term. It doesn't roll off the tongue as well. We can use it, but in my experience, most of the lesbian women that I know prefer to just say that they're gay.
Right.
Because
that's
it's
been my
not
experience.
it's
as
not
well.
a masculine term anymore. It is a blanket umbrella term for both men and women
And I feel like sometimes
who are
the
attracted to
word
members of the same
lesbian
sex.
has masculine connotations sometimes, like when you say lesbian. So it's
It
you
could
know what I
be.
mean? It's strange.
I mean, it's
most
totally up
people
to
I know,
you.
yeah, just say I'm gay. But whatever, floats your boat.
It's yeah, it's totally up to the individual person.
Exactly.
But I think for the purposes of podcasting, we're just going to, whenever we say gay, we're going to refer to men and women and everything in between. So basically just men and women who are attracted to members of the same gender.
Right.
That's gender/sex.
Right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
theater,
We could
right.
split
Whether-
hairs all day.
backing up, because I know that was kind of a sidebar, backing up to theater and how theater is an amazing medium for people to discover their true selves. Again,
Mhm,
whether you come out as gay, whether you come out as bi, whether you come out as trans, male to female, female to male, non-binary, theater offers people an opportunity to escape, but to escape on a different level where you can explore these different personas.
Right.
You can explore these male or female personas. You can explore androgynous personas.
Right.
You can just let loose. You can experiment with makeup like I did. That was how I got my base level makeup skills was from doing theater.
Yeah.
And then the rest sort of just kind of fell into place for me. So theater is an incredible medium, and I really need to explore more shows. I consider myself to be adequate enough to have a conversation with a theater nerd, but you are
Yes.
like the queen of... You've seen and been a part of so many shows. That being said, tell us a little bit about your show resume and expand on that. I know you sort of briefly touched on it,
boy.
but I am
where
really
do we
excited to hear you rattle off this list because it's pretty darn impressive. Or I can do it for you.
Yeah. Do you have it? I mean, I can pull it up.
I do have it. So, Samantha,
go through.
Sammy, I hate having to hold this up, but there's really no angle to do it with a microphone. So, you have been in, obviously, Rocky Horror Picture Show with me.
Yes, it was so fun. I would do it again. In a heartbeat.
Which we already mentioned. You've been in Cabaret.
Oh,
But
that was
I
an experience.
have to stop there because Cabaret is one of my favorite plays that I am familiar with.
Yes.
So tell us about your experience on Cabaret.
Well, this
What
is
was that like?
actually a perfect
I loved all your
segue.
pictures, by the way.
Thank you. Sure.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay,
so,
just because it's more, the video is more looking at us this way, and I know it's tempting to.
This video.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
I know
there was two.
the you now. It's tempting to get sucked into the you now, and actually,
Is that a camera that's on?
that's a camera that's
Oh
on.
boy! Hello world. Okay.
That is Fall River Community Media.
Hello Fall River Community Media.
So our video feed, which we put on YouTube, is from that camera and the camera box that
I
connects to
understand.
in the
I
other
thought it
room.
was-
So basically, it's tough to be in this seat right here because
Yes.
you have to sort of look at both cameras. You interact with our wonderful You Now audience, and then you also have to interact with me over here because interacting with me this way gives us the best angles. And
Wonderful.
us theater people are all about angles, right?
Yes.
Another shameless high five.
Love it. Shameless.
So Cabaret, where were we going with the Cabaret sidebar?
So it's a great lead-in because we were just talking about the sort of freedom that roles offer you on stage. So I played the MC, and the MC is traditionally played by a man. And
Exactly my point. This is exactly what we were just talking
Yeah.
about. That was a good segue.
And so the I had that summer just played Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet again,
Awesome, by the
male
way.
role, and the director of Cabaret knew from that performance that she wanted me to be the MC, which was great because it's in my range vocally. I don't know if you remember, but I have a rather low voice. And
But I've heard the stuff you've done since Rocky Horror Picture Show, and you've
Yeah.
really honed and perfected that alto.
Thank you. Lots and lots of practice and lessons. It gets you places, kids. But yeah, so Cabaret was so incredible. Should I give a brief rundown in case anybody
Yeah,
doesn't
do
know
it.
what it
I
is?
mean, just
So
tell us a little bit about Cabaret, and then about your.
so it
If you
takes
had any
place
specific
in
experiences that stood out to you.
yeah, it takes place in 1929 in Berlin, right before the Nazis have totally come to power.
And everybody loves pre-World War II stuff.
Yes, and
Always a great medium or setting, I should say.
yeah, it focuses on Sally Bowles, who is a third-rate singer in a second-rate nightclub, and she meets up with this American guy, Cliff, and they sort of have this unlikely whirlwind romance as the Nazis are rising to power. And there's the MC who sort of narrates the whole thing and overlooks the
Love the
club.
narrator
and,
roles.
Oh yeah, it's
Narrator
so
roles are
fun.
always fun to play.
And as the show progresses, the Nazis gain more and more power, and it culminates in several characters being taken away to concentration camps. So
When I was in high school, we did The Sound of Music, which is
Okay.
one of my favorite classic standbys.
okay, not mine, but similar similar theme.
I'm super basic sometimes.
I forgive you.
And it's the same kind of idea. It is kind of overplayed, and that's the studio itself has had some issues over the years, I think, as far as controversy. So
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, World War II has been a backdrop for so many forms of art. So one of the things that I really liked about the way that we did our version of Cabaret, which was also at Buzzards Play Productions, RIP,
I know, it's so sad.
It's so sad.
Whatever happened with Buzzards Bay Productions, by the way?
Because
I was absent as we...
Yeah.
Long story.
I sort of left before it went underwater, so I can't really comment on the specifics, but it breaks my heart because I know that the family that ran it poured everything they had into it, and they were very kind, and they tried really hard. So, it's very sad, but I'm very grateful for all of the opportunities that it afforded me.
There were a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, they also had a music venue and like recurring comedy shows, and occasionally they would have special traveling
bit of everything.
guests come in. Oh, it was so cool. It was such a
I don't know how
space.
I think they said that the rent kept getting jacked up or something like that.
I'm sure it was a financial thing. That's usually the reason businesses can't stay afloat, which is really sad.
I know. I think it had something to do with property taxes and rent and
like I said,
fees.
I sort of departed before everything went downhill. So
really sad, really unfortunate.
I don't have all the answers. But
so Rocky Horror Picture Show, Cabaret. Moving on to less depressing topics.
Yes, I know.
So something I wanted to ask you about that I have written down here, Dracula.
Oh gosh, I was hoping
because that was at the very end of your resume, and I was like, wonder if that was high school.
No, that was a community college show down in Virginia. So it was the first show that I had done in a long time because it was the first show that I had done after I got out of the Navy. I took a break.
So you were in the Navy, okay?
Yes, I
that
was.
Question we forgot. We forgot to come back to that question.
Yeah, we'll circle back.
I love that phrase. Circle back, y'all.
Circle back and unpack are probably my two favorite words that get tossed around on podcasts, I have to say. So Dracula was done at Thomas Nelson Community College down in Virginia, and what a phenomenal production to be a part of. I think I made some enemies.
You were Lucy, right?
I was Lucy Westphal. I think I made some enemies because I was brand new.
Just doling out the high fives on this show.
I had just registered for classes there, and I walked in. I'm a new kid, and just blew everybody away at auditions and got the role. And there was only a few female roles in this show, and
so the awkward potato is a front.
Yeah, and so
it's a safety net.
Some people did not like me because they felt that I stole their role, which is very sad. We should support each other as artists. But it ended up being...
Unfortunately, we all know how it is.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat
There's
in
enough
acting.
talent to go around, y'all.
Well, that's why I like podcasting, is because podcasting, it's a given that podcasting is oversaturated, whether you're going on YouTube or not, which is an interesting thing that we're doing because very few podcasters have the rare opportunity that I have right now to be able to do an audio and a video podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate enough to be good enough and pre-trained with my associate's degree in communication, which is actually coming in useful because I've had experience with video editing already.
Yes, you have. I remember the promo we did for Rocky Horror. Ugh, it's still on YouTube, just saying. I have watched it a time or two.
So it's very easy for me to plug and play with the raw data that's recorded here, and then I can just throw it right on YouTube, throw it on Patreon, do the audio only, extract the audio, edit the video, all that good stuff. So I have the academic experience and training, and Bristol Community College has been great because it actually gave me legitimate training on how to use multimedia equipment. So again, it's very easy for me to plug and play. So, but again, podcasting, it is oversaturated.
You got to find your weirdos that like you, though, and they'll follow.
So the competition is not necessarily there in podcasting because your success depends entirely on how much work you put in. Because being oversaturated is a good thing in a way, because it really allows the people who pour their blood, sweat, and tears into their podcast to really shine. And really working hard almost guarantees you financial return in the future.
Well, and the oversaturation doesn't necessarily
That's the good thing
mean...
about podcasting. Versus acting, TV, theater, it's cutthroat. It is cutthroat.
What do they say?
You're going to be...
A woman that I
did...
did...
Your friend last week is your enemy next week if you're going for the same role.
No, a woman that I did Cabaret with, she had done some acting in New York and sort of, told people that divas don't work, and you can't think that you're so special because, and I quote, if you're 1 in a million, what that means is in New York, there are 6 other people lined up outside the door to take your job. So, because there's 6 or 7 million people in that city, which is a pretty good way to put it in perspective. But on the note of podcasts, just because podcasts are similar doesn't mean they can't both thrive. I am weird. I like murder podcasts or crime podcasts, whatever. And
there's no competition. It's great.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
listen
niche
to 3 different
everyone.
ones. Yeah. I listen to 3 different ones of the same sort of genre. And I listen to several from How Stuff Works. I subscribe to probably like 10 podcasts. So
that's through the RSS feed?
I don't know what this is on my phone. This thing, the podcast
thing. Oh, the podcasting one, right? I believe that connects to iTunes.
Yeah, it does, but you can also get them all on Spotify, so most of the ones I listen to.
I have to look up Spotify.
Yeah.
I have to put my stuff on iTunes, too. But it's a free podcast, so I don't know how that works. Maybe I'll just put it up for the minimum.
Yeah.
The minimum required on iTunes, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Let's do it. I will help, support it.
Thank you.
Oh, so Dracula, though, I have to tell you the coolest thing. Okay, so.
Because I want to talk about your other protected after that.
Okay. But, so we had to have 2, you have to have 2 actors play Dracula because he has to be, Dracula the man and Dracula the monster. And, oh, man.
I want to see female Dracula. That would be
so
badass.
Cool. Yes. I love being able to gender bend roles. That's one of the great things about theater is that it's
like
so
what you
flexible.
did with Mercutio. I wanted to come back to that.
Yes.
Which was awesome that you did that.
We just did that in
good on you.
In the Tempest, in my production of the Tempest, several roles went to the opposite gender. And
Perfect.
Same thing in the Tempest.
More
that I was just
of
in.
that.
Yeah. So the Tempest, in my version, it wasn't Prospero, it was Prospera, and it very easily translated. It wasn't an overbearing or overprotective father. It was just this concerned, overprotective parent, as opposed to, it didn't have to be a father. It could be a mother. And Gonzalo, we changed it to Georgina. I've seen it done as Gonzala.
This is why theater is awesome. Yeah. And this is why it's an outlet for so many people who start as questioning and who eventually blossom into whatever beautiful flower they blossom into.
Yes. And Shakespeare affords a very unique opportunity in that it's public domain, so you can really make whatever changes you want to. Some other shows you have to be careful, copyright. Like you have to usually receive approval from the licensing company if you want to change things, which is such a pain. But a lot of people do it anyway.
When I was in Rent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, theater is wonderful because you have so much creative freedom and individual freedom, like you said, to find yourself. Yeah, and so then I played Ariel, who is the official ancient definition is an airy spirit. So Ariel really is just whatever Ariel is. It can be played by a man or a woman or a non-binary person.
That's awesome. Yeah. But speaking of Ariel/Ariel, depending on how you pronounce it, I heard somewhere that in the original version of The Little Mermaid, in the folktale, that she actually loses her soul and dies at the end. Oh, and withers away.
The Hans Christian Andersen story, you mean? The Little Mermaid?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
The original tale.
I really should.
That was a little
look it up.
blurb.
It's definitely dark, though, the original story.
That was a little blurb at the end of Jonathan Young's version of Kiss the Girl. So Jonathan Young is my favorite YouTuber right now. When people ask me what I listen to, I say, I have refined tastes. And they say, yeah, what does that mean? I'm like, Disney. What do you think it means?
Right.
Disney and Disney covers. So Jonathan Young is an amazing YouTuber. I'm going to plug him right now. Check him out. He does a lot of collaboration and collabs with other amazing YouTubers. And his big thing is Disney and anime. So for #nerds like us, it's perfect. So I think he's got about 30 anime covers and 64 or so Disney covers. He has 3 from The Little Mermaid, which are my favorite because it's one of my favorite Disney films of all time.
Yeah.
How about you?
So I am torn between Mulan and Hercules. And Mulan, look at that. Another person bending the rules, like bending the gender rules of society.
Well, Mulan is sort of like the trans anthem for trans men. Yeah. For female to male.
Yeah.
I'll make
because
a man out
Mulan
of you.
kicked ass.
Yeah. And she
and
defies
took names.
traditional gender roles at the end.
Absolutely. And is finally recognized for her bravery and her willingness to like embrace that.
Just read something on Tumblr
drive.
about that.
Oh, really?
Mulan.
Do tell.
Basically, it was pointing out that Mulan struggles with her gender identity. She's sort of gender fluid is the theory about Mulan. Sort of non-binary, but in her own unique way. She doesn't quite feel comfortable identifying fully as a man, but she also doesn't feel comfortable identifying fully as a woman. So at the end of the film, when she fights, what's the villain's name again? Shrew?
Oh my god. No. The Huns. It's
yeah.
Oh my god, the main Hun.
Liu.
Yikes.
Liu.
We'll just call him the main Hun.
Okay.
The bad guy.
The
So
big bad.
sorry.
Wow.
I'm gonna
Total.
Google it.
My brain just stopped working.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay, please do. So when she's fighting the big bad at the end of
Shan Yu.
Shan Yu. I thought I knew it was
something that was terrible.
We were close. That's okay.
We tried.
Shan Yu. So when she's fighting Shan Yu at the end, she's got this wonderful Chinese kimono is just Japanese, right? So what's the Chinese word for that traditional
The robe.
garb? The robes.
Oh, I'm not sure. Let me look.
That is another good question for YouTube and Google. So she's wearing the
They
robes.
dress up as concubines. They
Yes.
say it specifically. Actually, all the men
the concubine robe.
do.
And that's another
Oh.
gender bending thing that they put in there.
Are we going to get back
in
to
Mulan.
Shane, too?
Are we going to what?
Are we going to talk about Shane,
Shane?
her love interest?
Oh.
Shane? Oh, my God. I'm terrible. I just said
The
it was my
general.
favorite movie, and I
bombing.
don't even know all of their names.
We're two awkward potatoes now.
Oh, God. I'm trying so hard.
That's okay. So she's wearing the traditional female concubine robes at the end of the movie. And she's also fighting with a sword that she's become very skillful with. But she also uses the fan, which is a symbol of femininity,
That's
to
right.
deflect the sword. Now, people who are experts on Chinese culture commented on this post because the post went viral and blew up. And they said that the fan can actually be a symbol of both femininity and masculinity. But that sort of also proves the point as well that she's not quite comfortable either way. And then somebody jumped in at the end and said Mulan is just a terrible version of cultural appropriation. And I said, oh, now
Oh,
now
I
we're
feel
just-
bad. No.
yeah. Because it really is.
Oh,
Let's be
boy.
honest. Mulan is a terrible example of, bad example of cultural appropriation
I mean,
because it's designed for Caucasian girls
Well, I mean,
or Chinese American girls.
to that respect, though, nearly
And it
every Disney movie
Really,
is.
yeah, it really sort of
Yikes.
butchers the traditional truth of
Yeah.
the Chinese culture that it was modeled after.
Right.
And a couple of Chinese experts weighed in and did the whole actually type of situation. And I have to agree because it is a Western film made for Western audiences,
Oh, yeah.
Western girls. They do reach Chinese American girls, Asian American girls, and obviously your general Disney audience as well. But as far as the fact checking of the culture in Mulan, it leaves a lot to be desired.
So, okay, but on that note, I have to say, this came up, I remember so distinctly in my 10th grade history class because my teacher was like,
Disney's very
good point.
American no matter what.
We were
no matter where the story takes place.
We were talking about this specific aspect of it. Did they use too much, creative liberties? Is it true to the story? Can
Generally
this even
not.
be considered yada yada? And I was like, no, you can't watch Mulan and call it like studying ancient Chinese history.
That's not yet right.
Just
but
like, and what I
exactly.
said too, I go, are you going to watch Hercules and use that to study for your Greek mythology test? No. So,
Well, that's exactly the point, though, is that Disney is a unique entity. It's not going to be historically accurate, no matter what you do. It's not
right,
going to be
it's
true
not
to
a
the
Ken
culture.
Burns documentary.
Right.
It's Disney.
It's supposed to be fun, so people are going to take things way too seriously, no matter what you do. But Disney is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be happy. It's supposed to be uplifting. So, it is what it is. I like Disney films because again,
love
I'm
Disney.
basic.
Yeah, I
But
love Disney.
We both love Disney. You can call us
Um,
basic if you want.
But just
we're
last
Disney
thing.
girls.
It's not Shane, it's Shang. I was very
Shang.
close.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
he,
We've clarified all
is
the characters.
he's a man.
After
right?
looking very silly. Yes.
He's a man,
A manly man.
right?
He wants to make men out of everyone else.
But then enter Mulan, and he is suddenly so confused about his own feelings.
I like that we're talking so much about Disney.
Me too.
This is great.
But he's so confused about his own feelings because he is attracted to Mulan as a man, and he recognizes that and isn't sure what to make of it. And yes, ultimately he ends up
So there's a
with
nod
her
towards sexuality.
Right. And ultimately he ends up with her as a woman or female, whatever, I'm saying that wrong. But it goes to show they did sort of explore.
The ending of Mulan is interesting because, like I said, she uses both feminine and masculine symbols to fight Shan Yu.
Yeah.
But at the end, she becomes this sort of Disney princess. So the coming out as trans aspect of Mulan that a lot of people point to is sort of, I think Disney sort of dropped the ball when they made that a little bit because it could have been different things. But I think at the end of Mulan, I think that the Disney intention, whether you agree with it or not, was to make her into a princess. And that kind of,
yes,
it's kind of offensive to trans people. Because it's like, here we have this great coming out as female to male, and then Disney's like, nope, just kidding, she's a princess.
Well, anybody can be a princess if you want to.
Right.
But yes,
Mulan is a touchy subject to discuss.
Well,
because it can go a couple of different ways.
She didn't want to be a princess is the thing. She wanted to be this warrior. So let her, which is why Moana is so awesome. Oh God! And Disney is really working on not doing the cultural appropriation thing. They researched
Moana was like the first
so much
big step.
Yeah, everybody who was they did not whitewash the cast.
Mm-hmm.
They tried very hard to research all aspects of it so as to be as authentic as possible and not overlook or appropriate anything. So that was fantastic. And I mean, she's
Moana's Tumblr approved by social justice warriors.
She's so
yes,
cool. No love interest.
There is no debate on Moana.
Like, she just takes care of herself. She fights for her family, her island. She cleans up other people's messes. She's just such a badass. I love Moana.
But that was probably that was the first time that Disney said, geez, we really need to hire some sensitivity writers.
Right. Yeah.
Which again was a problem with Mulan because she ended up, I believe, at the end of Mulan, she remained cisgender because she remained...
Yeah, she's wearing like
identifying and projecting as a woman.
Yeah.
Basically, the only things that she retained of her masculinity and masculine military training was exactly that, was the fighting skills. So it kind of, again, the message got a little lost, but it was the late 90s, right?
Yeah,
so there
I have to say it was 20 years ago. So there's a lot of progress can be made in 20 years.
Still good for 20 years ago,
I do want to touch on how wonderful her grandmother is, though, because her grandmother loved her no matter what.
In Moana?
In Mulan and Moana.
I don't specifically remember the grandmother in Mulan, but I remember the grandmother in Moana was great.
I think
a great supporter.
You don't think that the grandmother in Mulan was supportive? I think she was.
I can't quite remember it. So
I think she loved her no matter what.
Maybe I'm thinking of the ancestors.
Yeah,
not the grandmother. Because the ancestors were kind of insensitive.
The grandmother was never disappointed in Mulan, and at the end, isn't the grandmother one? What's happening here? Is LGBT a sandwich? Oh, is that supposed to be funny? Like a BLT? No, it's better. Sorry. No, I think that the grandmother was awesome in Mulan, but yeah, we get like a ramped up version in Moana. Mm-hmm. I cried like a baby during that movie. I think the grandmother's death scene is probably the most beautiful way Disney has ever handled it. And yeah.
Sorry, I occasionally do that.
No, it's cool. It just distracts me.
So
I have a short attention span.
I want to talk about your world travels now.
Oh, okay.
Because Sammy is a world traveler, and we advertise that on our website. You have been, girl,
lots of places.
My goodness. You have been everywhere. This is incredible. So you've been to England.
Yes.
You've been to Ireland.
Yes.
You've been to Germany.
Yes.
And you've been to the Czech Republic.
Yes.
Have you been anywhere else?
Yes.
Where else have you been?
Spain, Portugal, Mexico, Canada, which, whatever, it's a different country.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else, but I think that's it.
So I want to take most of the time that we have left. I really want to talk about your travels. So
yes,
we've touched on theater, we've touched on Disney.
Everything is
want
going to
talk
circle
about
back to theater,
traveling.
though.
Yeah.
It's gonna. Sorry, because a main part of my trip was theater. A few years ago.
What was your favorite? Let's start there. What was your favorite destination? Because you've been to so many.
Oh, it was London.
London?
It was so amazing.
Was it because there was
It was
the
because I saw
Shakespeare
3
company?
shows in 5 days. I also saw Wicked,
Yep.
and I did an immersive, interactive version of The Great Gatsby. Oh my God. Okay, so then when I went to Dublin, like 2 days later, they were also doing it in Dublin at the Gate Theatre, and
Oh, that's awesome.
I was meeting my mom in Dublin, and I like begged and begged and begged for her to see it with me, but she wasn't interested and was like, "You just saw it 3 days ago. Why do you want to see it again?" Because it was awesome, Gina. What do you think? But yeah, that was so cool. London was amazing, and I stayed in a perfect part. I Airbnb'd this little
nice.
tiny studio apartment in
That's the way to do it,
Fitzrovia,
if you
Fitzroy
can.
Square. Yeah, I mean, it was small. It
You gotta
was
be careful with
probably
some of
the
those
size-
Airbnbs, though.
It was probably a little bit smaller than this room with a twin bed in it, and there's a
It's pretty
bathroom.
small.
There was like a half bathroom attached, and then if I wanted to go shower, I had to come out of the room and go to the thing right down the hall. But whatever, it was perfect
Public
for
restroom?
me. No, I had my own
Community
shower,
restroom?
which
Oh,
was
okay.
great. It was just like outside of my room, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was so great. There was an awesome little Italian restaurant that was like 100 feet away, so I went there. It was walking distance to the London Zoo, which, and I know zoos aren't really the nicest, but I had to go. I love it.
That's okay.
And the
It is what it is. You were on vacation.
yeah,
You wanted to check out. You wanted
I
to
was
check out
right
a
next to
well-established
Regent's
location.
Park. It was beautiful. I was right next to Regent's Park. I could walk to 221B Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes. That was right there. They've made it into a total tourist trap, though. Like they, petitioned the government to put in like B, that address, and it's sort of just a tourist trap now. But whatever, it was still really cool to look at. Shout out to the London Tube, because that is the best public transportation system I have ever been on. It is so efficient. It all makes sense. I'm looking at you like MTA. And it was so awesome. It was so easy to get around. I loved it. I loved everything. And so because there was a few tube stops within walking distance of me, I also went to the Peter Pan statue.
You're pretty much going to all the places that I would have gone
the
to.
Princess Diana Memorial Park, and it was so cool. And then I saw Wicked, and I saw
So
Tempest,
basically, you need to
yeah.
take me with you next time you go, so we can stop at
Yes.
all of the same locations.
yes.
Because these are all things that would be on my itinerary.
I have to say that this trip was spurred by. So a few years ago, I had been saving up to do something with this terrible ex-boyfriend, and he broke up with me, and I was like, well, I'm going to take all that money and I'm going to go on a trip. So I booked a ticket to see my cousins in
Was that
Germany.
after Rocky Horror?
Yeah, it was like a year or two after.
Okay.
So I don't think I ever told you about him, but we can talk later.
Okay.
And so I went to visit my cousins
dish,
in
dish.
Germany, and I loved it. So when I was there, my little cousin, his birthday is the day before mine, and he was like, you have to come back for my 18th birthday. It'll be our birthday. So I promised him I would. I went home, and I was like, well, I might as well make a huge Euro trip out of this. So I worked for a year and a half, and I took an 18-day trip to Europe, and I enjoyed
that's
every
awesome.
second of it because I worked for a year and a half to do so. So yeah.
That's so cool. So Germany, tell me about Germany now.
Germany
And
is
we're ignoring
really
the trolls
cool.
on you now.
It's really different. It's really cool. There are so many pretzels and so much beer.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man,
I
would
want beer and
really
pretzels
like-
right now.
Yeah, we'll
We have to
get
go on a
some.
mission to find beer and pretzels
Okay,
now because now I'm just so hungry. I haven't eaten since
My
breakfast.
cousins were like, you are
So-
not going to put cheese or mustard on your pretzels. That is such an American thing. Because this is in Bavaria. So,
Is that an American thing?
Yeah. So
everyone else
Regensburg is
just
like
eats-
a part of...
Eats them as they are.
It's
Plain
I don't know,
pretzels?
but they wouldn't let me. So Regensburg
Okay.
is in Bavaria, the Bavarian region. It's like a southern region
Mm-hmm.
in Germany. Yeah, so we would go into Regensburg, which is a beautiful city. It used to, if I remember my history correctly, it was originally like dominated by the Romans. So there's a lot of really
Oh, cool.
cool Gothic structures.
A lot of history there then.
Yeah, and it's right on the Danube River. It's really beautiful. so, yeah, you just literally walk down the street, and I swear there was like a pretzel stand or shop everywhere. It was so cool. There was a lot of awesome history. We went to the
And the beer was, of course, good.
oh yeah,
Yes.
the beer is amazing.
German beer.
I'll have to send you a picture to put up later, but there's this thing called the Kuchelbach Tower. It's this like artist. It was this weird, I can't even describe it. It's this weird like giant like abstract artsy tower, and you can walk up to the top of it, but
cool.
at the beneath it in the bottom is like a brewery, so it's like an art and beer tour, and then there's a beer garden. So that was really fun. There was a Ernest Hemingway bar. Like, for whatever reason, these people in Regensburg loved Ernest Hemingway, so that was cool. There's all sorts of pictures of him around. But yeah, the beer was really good, and the food was delicious. I actually really like German food.
What was your favorite German dish that you had?
Okay.
Aside from pretzels and beer.
So
was there something that just they brought out to you and you were like, wow,
I'm
that's
gonna
awesome?
butcher it. So Pfefflinge is this specific type of
Say
little
it again?
mushroom. Pfefflinge. It's this
Ooh.
specific type of little mushroom.
You sound pretty sexy when you say that.
Oh, thank you. I was
I
trying
wish I sounded
really
that sexy
hard.
when I spoke
Um,
German words.
So, and it was like this mushroom and cream sauce dish over
Mhm.
like bread dumpling is the only way I can describe it. And it is so good. And I probably ordered it like 3 out of the 6 dinners that I had there.
Nice.
And then,
I
there
did
are
that with a
things
couple
like-
of dishes in Japan.
Yeah,
Like I found something that I
found-
really
like,
liked, and
and
I'm like,
just
give me all of
stuck
it. Although
with it.
I did try to sample a little bit of everything.
Yes, I did
The most
too.
famous regional dishes.
But unfortunately, I did not brush up on my German enough before I went over there, because I was studying it for a bit and then stopped because I'm lazy. So I struggled so hard to order food. And my cousins were like, this is exhausting. Just ask for an English menu or order what you know. So
Japan is easy because you can just say, like, you point to what you want on the menu
yeah.
and you say kore wo kudasai, or just whatever the name of the dish is. And just, so if it's udon, like udon wo kudasai.
Yeah.
Arigatou
That's
gozaimasu.
pretty good. See, I can say a few things in German and that's about it.
So ordering food is easy.
Yeah.
If you want to, and it's basically
There's
the
not a lot
whole
of
language is
pictures,
just what
so-
you want, and then wo kudasai is, can I please have that?
Oh, nice. So the
So-
first time I went to Germany in, was it March 2016? Yeah.
So you've been twice?
Yes, I've been twice.
Damn, girl.
Yeah, I've been to Ireland twice too. That was amazing.
I did see your pictures from Ireland. You went to
Yeah.
the Cliffs of Moher, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
And you had an
so,
incredible experience there.
Okay, the first time I went, I was like, this is so amazing. Ah, take me back. And the older I've gotten, the more anxiety I get about like things that could put my life in danger.
Mhm.
So I was like, I was not, despite how happy I look in those pictures, I was freaking out. My mother's like, get
Because
closer
of the
to
sheer
edge.
drop of the cliff.
Get closer to the edge, smile.
How
and I
many
was like,
tourists have fallen off the Cliffs of Moher?
like, oh man. And it's just, yeah, no, I didn't look up those statistics before I went. So I was freaking out. It's beautiful, but I was
Yeah.
freaking out.
Because the wind is so harsh, right, up there?
Yeah, and like, okay,
But your pictures are beautiful, by the way. All of your
thank
pictures
you.
are breathtaking. These places looked absolutely incredible. They were beautiful. You looked like you were having the time of your life.
Did.
I'm so jealous that you got to travel to all these countries. But you took amazing photographs.
Thank you.
So
yeah.
keep traveling so we can talk more about it.
We will. It's perilous just to get to the Cliffs of Moher, by the way. You take a bus and it's like a couple-hour tour, and it's so dangerous to go on these big buses because they're like these hairpin turns on hills, and it's nuts, but it's so worth it, and it's so beautiful, and the visitor center there is so cool. Oh, probably the best thing that happened when I was in Dublin, though, the first thing my mother and I wanted to do was go to the Old Jameson Distillery, because they have since moved their actual distillery to, I think, Cork, but
Okay.
the original...
Do you like
know-
whiskey neat?
So here's the thing. I
Hmm.
hate whiskey. I walk in, and you walk in, by the way, it's like, this is like a museum, like a distillery tour. And of course, there's this big, beautiful, ornate bar. And I sit down. And when you go, your admission ticket includes a drink. But I had
okay.
to get a drink beforehand because, when in Rome, do like the
Gotta
Romans, when in
pregame.
Ireland, drink a lot.
Especially in Ireland.
So I sit down, and the bartender's like, what can I do for you? And I was like, okay.
And an amazing Irish accent,
Yeah,
right?
and that broke. I
I heard
go,
Irish accents are sexy.
don't hate me, but I really hate whiskey. What should I get? And he goes, you
Different
should
whiskey?
get out. You should get out. And so I was like,
Ooh.
oh no, I'm sorry. But as it turns out, I actually
I'm a girl who likes her
really
whiskey
like
neats
Jameson. I really like
sometimes.
Jameson.
Jameson's good. Jameson's the
So,
old standby.
I will not touch Jack Daniels with a 10-foot
Did you have
pole.
Jack Daniels is kind of like American trash.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
so.
exactly what it is. It's
Did-
American trash.
Yeah. So did you have Jameson though when you were in Ireland?
Oh yeah, I had
Okay.
lots. That ended up being.
Did
like
you have it at
what
that bar?
Yeah.
Or did the guy kick you out?
No. I was like, all right, well, make me something that I would like. And man, he did something with like, there was like elderberry liqueur in it. So like
Ooh.
Saint Germain basically, and something else. I think it was called like
Your mother smells of elderberries.
No, your
It's a
mother
nerd
was a
reference for
hamster and
you.
your father smells of
Oh,
elderberries,
that's
which
what it was.
basically means your mom is a hoe and your dad's a drunk.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
Well, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
So what about the Czech Republic? You also
Okay.
went there too?
So I only gave myself roughly a day and a half, 2 days there because I was a little nervous. I was
It's a
by
smaller
myself.
country and it's not that much of a...
I was by
There's not
myself
that
and
many
they don't really
tourists.
speak English. Oh, no,
Yeah.
no.
Attractions
Prague.
there?
I wish I had had more time in Prague. I wish I had
I
one
have
less
heard
day
that
in
Prague is
Germany.
beautiful, though.
That's where I was. One less day in Germany, one extra day in Prague. Not that I don't love my cousins, but I had already been to Germany.
So you have cousins in Germany?
Yes. So,
Oh,
okay.
that makes sense now when you
Yeah.
said that your cousins were not letting you put mustard and
Yes.
things on it.
Yes. Prague was so cool. And you guys, I tried to prepare for ordering food in Prague after the fiasco in Germany.
Mhm.
And so I looked up this specific restaurant and their menu and I translated it and was like, great, I'm going to order this. I walk there and look at the menu, and I had been looking at their dinner menu and their lunch menu was entirely different. And I sat down and just looked at the waiter
Whoops.
like helplessly, and he goes, oh, okay, and brings me an English menu. Thank
okay.
God. Because I am an ignorant American. I'm sorry, I tried.
So how was the food in Prague though?
It was very
Was
good.
it
Okay, so I
unique?
have to say,
Okay.
when I came home from my trip, I ended up becoming a vegetarian again because I had this moment
I'm a
with
pescatarian.
cow.
But
So-
sometimes I'll eat meat if it's organic.
Sometimes I eat
free-range.
fish, but like I have this
I eat fish all the
mental
time.
like block about it. I'm not going to talk about it on the air.
Mhm.
But I had this moment with a cow in Ireland. Like I had just
Oh.
eaten beef stew because that's a thing that you do in Ireland. And we were coming back from the cliffs and we were stopped to like let a car pass. And there are just cows everywhere. And I was just looking at this little cow and it's like flicking its tail, looking at me, smiling. And I just like started crying because I was like, oh my God, you're so cute.
And that was after you
alive."
ate the Irish beef stew?
Yeah, it was like an hour after, and
How
I was
was
like,
the
"I
Irish
have
beef
you in
stew,
my
though?
belly." Oh, it was so good.
It was good.
And so that's the thing. Like meat tastes delicious, but now I just can't wrap my head around it because I looked at, and maybe it's because I had been away from my dog for 10 days, but I looked at this cow and I was like, "Bama," and I thought of my puppy. He's not a puppy. He's 7. Whatever.
I love Bama. I haven't seen
Yes.
Bama in forever.
Oh my
It's been a
gosh.
long
Okay,
time
well you
since
have to
we've
come
actually-
over
yeah.
and see him.
Okay.
But yeah, so now I can't eat meat because I feel like every meat is my dog. So
It's
where was I
that's
going
an
with
interesting way for your brain to rationalize
Yeah.
things.
Oh, so in Prague, one of the
Yes.
things I had was
Back in Prague, real quick sidebar. Do you have an Instagram for your travels or anything specifically associated with your travels
I
that
don't.
the lovely
I'm
people that are watching this
actually-
podcast or listening to this podcast can look up?
I'm a little private on social media.
Okay. Do you have
Just
any sort
for-
of public anything that anybody can be referred to? Is your Instagram private?
I believe my Insta is private. I
Okay,
have one
disregard
for
then.
Bama though. I do have one for my dog. If you guys want to see it,
We
Yeah.
will keep you all updated if Sammy ever makes
Yeah.
a travel
I
vlog
am
that's
happy
public.
to send. I could probably make the albums themselves public though. I could definitely.
There's got to be
make-
ways to do that.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
has to be.
It's just like a personal safety thing. I keep my.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, I keep my, and also
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna be a
need some
teacher,
social
so
media though once you
Get-
become a famous actress.
I will make different accounts for those when
Those
I
have
am
to be
hashtag famous.
Gonna have 2 different verified ones.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no.
Tricky
so,
territory there.
So the food in Prague is where we left off. I had duck, which is why I felt
Oh, duck's
bad saying
good.
it.
I
It
love
was
duck
very
in
good.
Asian dishes. Okay, how about this? What was your favorite out of all the countries you've been to? Actually, let's stick with Europe for now, and we'll
Yeah.
go because we can talk about Canada and Mexico
Later.
when you come back
Yes, I will be back.
for a different show. But I want to talk about what was the most beautiful place that you visited
Oh,
in
hands
Europe,
down, it has been over 10 years. And
as
I
far
still
as just
think
takes
about
your
it.
breath away.
It was a place
That
called
other people can maybe go to.
Lagos in Portugal.
Okay.
And it's this little town on the coast of Portugal, and it was breathtakingly beautiful.
So Lagos, Portugal.
Yes.
Okay.
And I remember so specifically getting an ice cream cone from this little store and walking down to the cliffs. And these cliffs are so beautiful. Not like the Cliffs of Moher, a little more warm, tropical feeling. And I had just finished reading The Princess Bride for my English class. And all I could think was...
Classic.
All I could think was, this is what the Cliffs of Insanity look like. Which is ironic because then I've seen bigger cliffs later, but it was the most breathtaking thing. It was so beautiful. Prague was also incredibly beautiful.
So Lagos and Prague are your top two as far as just breathtaking, beautiful vistas.
Yes.
Well, Prague isn't really a vista. It's a mecca of a city. So
yeah. No offense to Ireland and England, y'all are
mostly
beautiful.
Countryside, right?
Yeah.
And London obviously is very metro, but
in
metropolitan,
no shade to them, but it is very rainy and gloomy.
So I've heard. London rain and London fog.
Yeah.
But the weather was good
regardless.
in Portugal. Everyone says good things about the weather there. Well, Fall River is a huge area for the Portuguese community. So every other person around here has been to Portugal, whether it's Lisbon or whether it's the Azores.
Yes, I went to Lisbon as well. That was very beautiful. But that was when I was 15 with a high school trip. So the memories are sort of fading a little bit. But I just remember being so overwhelmed at the beauty of this little coastal town called Lagos. Oh, and it was the weirdest thing. We stayed at a hotel, and the elevators, you know how there are two sets of doors in elevators? Mm-hmm. This one only had one set of doors on the floor. So when you're in the elevator, you could see the wall passing you as you go. And it was a little unnerving, but we were 15
That's very European.
And it was really cool. Yeah.
Did you go to any historical sites in any of your European travels?
So
major historical sites that you can refer people to?
So I went
because this is more like a...
Yeah. St. Peter Cathedral is the one in Regensburg, I believe. Also, they have this thing called...
In Germany?
Yeah, in Regensburg. The Regensburg Cathedral is the St. Peter Cathedral, yes. And it is really cool. Very, all sorts of Gothic structure. And then I also went to the Prague Castle in Prague, which is actually really a collection of a church and, this mansion thing. And that was so cool. I wish I had had more time to explore it. I went to, like I said, the Cliffs of Moher, which I know that's more of a natural landmark than anything else.
Right, but it's very popular.
So cool.
Quick question for you, though. What was your favorite beer that you had in Germany? Was it something that might be recognizable for people in the States, or was it sort of a local brew?
Yeah, they have
local. Okay, that's what I figured.
Dunkel beers are dark beers. Everything is sort of. It's
We're
not
jumping
really.
from
It's not
country to
really
country,
named. Yeah,
you've been
I'm
to
so sorry
many.
about that.
No, this is all me. I take responsibility for this.
They're not really named.
I'm scatterbrained.
So if you ask for a beer, they had like a Dunkel beer as a dark beer, and everything would mostly just be whatever was local to that
this is also
area.
Exciting.
It was really cool, but a lot of the bigger establishments would have other things on tap. There's one Irish bar in Regensburg in
Germany.
Yeah, that we
there
would
was
go
there was
to.
an
And
Irish
it's
sports bar in
underground.
Japan too.
It's underground, so it's actually really cool.
Oh, cool.
It's called Murphy's Law. It's
that's
and
awesome.
There is a super nice bartender. His name is James, and I think he was Australian. He's friends with my cousin, so they would take me there because, I'm Irish and Italian. But they were like, "Oh, we have to go to Murphy's Law." So you can get some of the recognizable names. You can get Guinness everywhere, but most of the places I found, it was really cool. It was just local brews, so nothing that you would really find over here, unfortunately.
So we're going to try and wrap this up in about 4 to 5 minutes. So by 6:20, we are going to hit a pause on this. So a couple of things rapid fire. What is your degree program that you're in at Bridgewater State University?
I am a
What's your
double major in theater education and secondary education.
Okay.
I recently passed all of my MTELs.
Congratulations.
Yay. And
another high five.
Today, actually, I went and added my minor in special education inclusive practices.
Awesome.
And I will be student teaching in the fall and graduating December. So
You're graduating this December?
Yes, finally.
Early congratulations.
Knock on wood again, somebody for me. Yeah.
So where are you as far as getting your acting card?
So I am probably as far away as possible. The best way to do it is you find
I think most people are, though.
Yeah, it's very hard to commit to a equity candidacy program when you don't have when you're still a full-time student and working full-time. There are a few houses that can offer equity around here. The one off the top of my head, I know there's one in Stoughton, and a lot of the ones when you get further into the city, you put in so many hours and you can receive your equity card. You put in so many hours working on a show at this theater and you can receive your equity card, and then you have to pay your dues. It's a union. You pay your dues, but you're guaranteed, pay rates and breaks and certain other aspects, just like you would with any union. But it can actually, if you're not intending to pursue acting as your main career, can actually be a bit of a hassle to get your card because
so you really got to pour all of your time.
Well, so if you have an equity card and then you want to perform in non-equity shows, there's like a lot of rigmarole to go through to get approval from equity to do so, and you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't get the approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the next big project that you're working on? So here is an opportunity for you to plug and promo whatever you have specifically going on in your life that you want our audience to be interested in, potentially look up. What do you have going on?
Campus Movie Fest. It is so cool. It is the largest student film festival in the country. So
at Bridgewater State University?
Yes. Well, it happens everywhere. I have this little thing here if you guys want to look at it.
Show it to that camera too.
Campus Movie Fest. So what it is
Bridgewater was awesome to me, by the way.
Yes.
So excited that I got my bachelor's from there.
Company, they come and they give all of this equipment to students. Anybody can do it.
Are you being a part of it?
And yes, so you have 1 week to create a film. It has to be 5 minutes or less. So I am the writer and an actor in my show, and I have another friend being the director, cinematographer, sound editor. I have other friends acting, and it's a competition. So if anybody wants to come on Wednesday, April 18th to...
Wednesday, April 18th?
Yeah, to
Bridgewater
the
State
Campus
University,
Movie Fest
Bridgewater,
premiere.
Massachusetts.
Yes, it is in the Rondelou Campus Center in the Grand Ballroom. It is at 7 o'clock.
So what's your part? Oh, it's free. Okay.
So it is
free
to attend, and you will see 16 student-made films, 5 minutes or less. And here's the thing.
Okay.
Only the top 16 films get shown, and something like 40 whatever people submit films, and we don't know who the top 16 are until you're watching them. So it's going to be so nerve-wracking. I'm going to be sitting there watching, like, hoping that my film gets selected.
What's the topic of your film?
It is a horror comedy called Scalp Treatment. My mother owns a hair salon and recently added in a whole collection of wigs to sell people, and so I made a horror about how people can get those wigs.
That is great.
Yeah. Can I shout out my friends that are on that with me real fast?
Yeah, go, absolutely.
Kelly McGrath and Colleen Sweeney are acting in it with me. Emily Hirschlag is directing it. Eric Lander is our editor and cinematographer. And David Maybrook is our sound editor. So thank you so much to all of those Bridgewater students for joining me in that project.
Awesome. So real quick, we didn't really do a #Nerdcast for the show, but we had so much else to talk about with your past productions, with what you have going on, with the film fest, with your travels, because anyone that's traveled anywhere more than a couple times, that's going to be probably the focus of these discussions. But I have written down here that if there's anything #Nerdcast that you're interested in, Neil Gaiman and the Anansi boys.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that right?
Neil Gaiman is an author.
Neil Gaiman.
He wrote American Gods, Anansi Boys, the Sandman comics. Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Graveyard Book, which is sort of like the Jungle Book, but in a graveyard.
Awesome. So real quick, you wanted to just plug CalmerCon, right?
Yes.
And we can end on that.
I think it already happened. CalmerCon is basically a family-friendly and sensory-friendly convention for families, specifically focusing on children with autism or other sensory disorders. So it's a place where nerds can come together without as much hustle and bustle and sensory overload as you would find in normal conventions. So I just thought that was an amazing thing to open up to families.
That's awesome.
And I wish I had more information on it off the top of my head, but I totally forgot to bring it.
That's okay. So we're going to add more information on our social media about CalmerCon and about everything we just talked about. So there's going to be access to everything that we discussed on our social media mediums. So you can find information on everything that we talked about on our Tumblr, Twitter, Patreon, our Wix site, all of the above. So stay tuned for that. Sammy, thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you for having me. I hope
This
you have
has
me
been
again.
great. Yeah, absolutely.
Tooting my own horn.
We're going to talk about the other projects you have going on,
gosh,
more about
yes.
Disney,
Yeah.
all the good stuff, more about Gaiman
Gaiman. Neil
Gaiman,
Gaiman.
okay.
I think that's how you say it. Oh, God.
and the other novels and graphic novels that you're into.
Yes, please.
So, ESP005, Samantha McMahon.
Go ESP.
All right, my lovely unicorns. We bid you adieu.